are
Good
you?
to see you.
What's going on? You too.
Thank you for doing this. Max, I'm going to take you on a bit of a walk down memory lane, okay?
Okay, let's do it.
And want to show you some pictures and just what you think of when you see.
Okay.
Starting with that one.
That would have been at the ACC, which is now the Scotiabank Arena. Obviously, me and my dad sitting in his stall. I didn't usually wear the 28 jersey, so he must have known we were getting a picture together. Because usually I'd have the 1-3 on my back.
For Matt Sundin, of
Correct.
course. Yeah.
And typically when I wore a jersey, it was to go to a game. 28 didn't really come out that often, but it's a great picture, that's for sure.
You gotta love a guy that he bets on himself here. This is his 9th year in the National Hockey League, but it's his 7th team already.
Max is going to be a fan favorite in Toronto.
There's a real potential here for Domi to have a heck of a season.
Okay, more recent.
This is opening night, right?
Yep. Home opener, yep.
Yeah. I was really excited. It was kind of a weird moment, and everyone kept asking, like, how did it feel? And I just kept using the word strange. It feels like yesterday I was just this little kid running around this rink, and I dreamt of this like my entire life, and now I'm like living it. So like, I guess the whole manifestation thing is real. Having the opportunity to wear that jersey is pretty special.
There aren't many NHL players that do get a chance to play for their hometown team.
Yeah.
You've always said it was a dream. So what has the experience been like?
It's been spectacular. I've enjoyed every second of it, the ups and the downs, obviously. And I think the hardest part was actually the initial 2-3 months of just trying to like understand like this is now where I'm playing, you know? I don't know if I did the best job of handling it, obviously in terms of like how I played early on in the season.
Did you put maybe too much pressure on yourself, where you try,
no,
or what would you say? What things
it was just like a
in your
pinch me
mind?
kind of moment, you know?
Okay.
Like I couldn't get out of the whole like, man, like I've been dreaming this my whole life. And like, obviously you look at my career and I've been on quite a few different teams, and I always had that in the back of my mind, like, oh, I really would like to get to Toronto at some point. And that might have been part of the reason why I've been bouncing around so much is trying to find a way to get here. But ultimately it's all about winning here, and that's what we're trying to do. So just to be a part of it is awesome.
Domi's loose. Here's the pass. Domi in. Scores! First is a leap.
Max Domi's been waiting for this moment.
Oh, this was my first goal.
Yep.
As a Leaf. I think you can tell from the celebration
A sense
how
of
much.
relief?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on there, and I was super happy.
How about that one?
Oh, this one's really cool. This was when I threw the first pitch out at the Blue Jays game. My dad was like, hey, like we're gonna go throw the first pitch out, and I had no idea what that meant.
Okay.
But I was a Jays fan. I had a Carlos Delgado signed bat as a kid that said, hey Max, sorry it's not a hockey stick, but this will have to do. I still have it actually next to my bed. But no, it was a really cool moment. I did make it. I don't know if I bounced it or not, but it got to the plate. Cool of my dad to let me throw the pitch. Take the pressure off of him, so smart move.
Great pass by Nice. Domi in. Scores. Beauty.
There's Dad smiling.
You signed a 1-year deal to come to Toronto.
I did.
How much do you think about the future?
Not much, to be honest, just because there's been so much turnover in my career that I've learned to not do that. But of course, it's in the back of your mind. You're like, you know what? Would I want to stay here? Would I want to go somewhere else? Who knows? You know, like no one has a clue. I don't even know.
You
So,
don't. Okay.
all I'm really
You don't want to share any breaking news with us,
I
or where your mind
I don't
is?
have any news for you, but the news that I have is wherever I am right now, which is where my 2 feet are, I'm trying my best to be the best version of myself, both on and off the ice, to help this team win a Stanley Cup.
Here's a loose puck. Matthews, another post. Domi scores.
And he and his dad, Tie, now are the only father-son duo to each score a playoff goal for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Well, the playoff experience that you've had, you know, with Montreal, with
Yeah.
Carolina, and then with Dallas, how different is it here in Toronto?
I think that's everyone's biggest problem. Is it's not different at all. Playoff hockey is playoff hockey. I don't care where you are. And I think the best way to look at it is just play, and play like every single shift is going to be your last, and that's how playoff hockey is done, and you got to execute. Usually the guys that make the difference are like on the 3rd or 4th line, you know what I mean? And no one ever talks about that. It's always about the superstars, and they're always so good they kind of cancel each other out, and there's a new hero every single night. So you just understanding that you need everyone and the value of that, that's probably the biggest difference. So the depth is what speaks to success in the playoffs, in my opinion.
And a fantastic year last year. Good in Dallas, really good in the playoffs.
Domi walks it in. Score!
The playoffs last year, you were in Dallas.
Yeah.
You went to the conference final. 13 points in 19 games.
Yeah.
And you said that you learned more about the playoffs during that run than you ever had before. What did you learn?
Well, that's when the hockey gets the hardest it's going to get, right? And every single game, every single round, it gets harder and harder and harder. And it sucks we couldn't get the job done, but grateful for the opportunity that I had, and for them to bring me on so late in the season. This was spectacular, and I loved it.
Okay, how about that one?
This is a really cool one. I think it was before morning skate, so it was pretty early on the Saturdays, and I just go buzz around and shoot pucks. So one day he told me to bring my game jersey. And I was the captain of the Toronto Marlboros at the time. I would have been a minor Adam. And he said we're going to take a picture together. At the time, I was like, oh, I want to go shoot pucks. I forget the picture, but now looking back,
Aren't you glad
I'm
you
pretty,
had that?
pretty pumped to have that picture.
So when you and I talked last September, you said, you know, the dream wasn't to play with the Maple Leafs. The dream was to win a Stanley Cup with the Maple Leafs.
So the dream was always to play for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but I've got to think the ultimate dream has always been to win a Stanley Cup as a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Absolutely.
To even allow yourself to kind of visualize that, to think of what that would feel like.
Yeah, you think about it every single day you wake up and before you go to bed. I think that's what we all do. That's why we play hockey, is to win a Stanley Cup. So when you get the privilege and honor to play on a team that is right there, it gets the juices flowing even more.
What does it feel like now, knowing you are actually in a position to potentially realize that dream?
When you get to the playoffs, it's like, okay, we've taken that first step, and then after that, it's like every single win you have, you're that much closer. And it seems like 16 wins, like, oh, that's not that many, but every win is a war in itself. So you got to earn it, and it's the hardest time of year and hardest trophy to win in sports for a reason. So I'm looking forward to the challenge to do it, and we're prepared to do whatever it takes.